Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Reagan Institute and to day 2 of the Reagan Institute Summit on Education, RISE. To everyone joining virtually from across the country, we are very glad you are with us. My name is David Trulio, and it's my privilege to serve as the President and CEO of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Institute. At the 1991 dedication of his presidential library in Simi Valley, President Reagan said, quote, "It is my hope that the Reagan Library will become a dynamic intellectual forum where scholars interpret the past and policymakers debate the future." That has been true of the library in California, and it's also true of the Institute here in Washington, D.C. And today at RISE, we aim to draw from the lessons of the past as we chart the future towards the nation's next horizon, the theme of RISE 2023. After all, this spring marks 40 years since A Nation at Risk was released. That was the Reagan-commissioned report that sounded the alarm about the state of our nation's schools, a report that resonates to this day. In the 40 years that have passed, the report spawned rigorous debate about the state of education in our country. From standards and accountability to curriculum coherence to the role of federal and state governments, our nation did not achieve consensus around every issue surfaced in Nation at Risk. But we have, however, built unlikely coalitions that have crossed state and party lines in service of creating better educational opportunities for students. It is in a bipartisan spirit that we gather this remarkable lineup at RISE here today. Now, we could not do this work without our sponsors, and I want to offer heartfelt thanks for their support. Specifically, thanks to Microsoft, the Austin E. Knowlton Foundation, Palantir, the Walton Family Foundation, Jobs for the Future, Ellie Jones, and Whiteboard Advisors. My gratitude also extends to all of our speakers on the virtual and in-person stage, and while naming them all here and now is not practical, I would be remiss if I did not thank in advance the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden, for her remarks later today, in particular for her voice as a leader and practitioner in the education space. Now, to start us off, we are privileged to welcome the chairman of RISE's Honorary Steering Committee. Governor Larry Hogan surprised many in the political establishment when he won the governor's race in 2014. And in 2018, he became the first Republican re-elected governor in Maryland since 1954. And that was 2 years before Governor Hogan was actually even born. Now, significantly, as the Republican governor of a deep blue state, Larry Hogan led in a pragmatic, policy-minded, and results-oriented way. He understood that delivering for his state meant collaborating with people of all backgrounds, and that, of course, includes collaborating with people with whom he did not necessarily agree. In addition, on a more personal level, and I've seen this with my own eyes and heard it with my own ears, he exudes a cheerfulness and an optimism, and those traits certainly remind me of Ronald Reagan. So perhaps it's no surprise that Governor Hogan enjoyed high approval ratings, and when he left office in January of this year, he enjoyed a 77% approval rating. Now, that's truly extraordinary in this political environment. Governor Hogan's practical, can-do spirit is well aligned with the philosophy that guides this summit, and we are honored by his participation and his support. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the 62nd governor of the state of Maryland, Larry Hogan.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dave, for that much too kind introduction. I very much appreciate it. Congratulations on the new gig, by the way. I'm excited to see all the great things that you'll be accomplishing in this new leadership role of this great organization. The Reagan Foundation and Institute is is really important to me personally. And I also believe that the work that they do here is critically important to the nation. And I want to take just a moment to also thank my good friend, Roger Zackheim, for his leadership. Thank you, Roger. And Janet Tran, along with the entire team here at the Ronald Reagan Institute. Really excited about this terrific summit. We're thrilled and honored to have the First Lady join us today, Dr. Jill Biden. She's going to tell us about some of the work that the administration is doing for education. I know that we're going to be discussing a lot of important topics today, and all of them come back to restoring hope, which I believe is what Ronald Reagan achieved for the American people. After the debacle of Watergate, the tragedy of Vietnam, an energy crisis, hostage crisis, and an economic crisis, America was in dire straits. Americans were unsure of the future and losing faith in our country. But then Ronald Reagan had a positive, hopeful message and vision, and he showed us a better path forward. And he changed the course of history for America and the world. He proved that change is possible even when the odds are stacked against you. Now, I believe that every single child in America deserves a world-class education, regardless of what neighborhood they happen to grow up in. And sadly, that is not always the case in America today. Our education system is failing far too many of our children who see the American dream as out of reach, something they won't be able to achieve. The failure to reform our broken education system is cutting off pathways to success, cutting off hope and opportunity for our children. And there's no shortage of great bipartisan common sense solutions that can succeed and which can provide those pathways and those opportunities to transform young lives for the better. In Maryland, these past 8 years, we've already proven that. We invested record funding in K through 12 education 8 years in a row. Early in my first term, I was proud to bring the P-TECH program to Maryland. This innovative STEM model allows high school students to earn their AA degree simultaneous to getting their high school diploma. They have mentorships and paid summer internships, and they gain really valuable career skills that employers need for the 21st century workforce, and then they're first in line for jobs. We created a program called Boost to allow deserving underprivileged children who are in failing schools to receive scholarships to attend the private school of their choice. We made Maryland a nationally recognized leader in workforce development and job training. We partnered with the private sector to create 127 new apprenticeship programs, not just in things like the building trades, but also in industries such as cybersecurity, healthcare, IT, and advanced manufacturing. We launched a nationally recognized EARN job training program, a grant program, which allows industries to design the exact training that they need to cultivate the skilled workforce which they need to compete. Too often today, credentials are rewarded more than hard work and real skills. That's why we were the first state in the nation to stop requiring four-year college degrees for tens of thousands of state jobs that don't need them. Instead, we recognized previous work experience, community college, military service, and other vital training, which led to a 41% increase in non-four-year degree hires in just the first year. This initiative is now being replicated in state governments. I think we're up to 9 or 10 other state governments, the federal government, and in private sector businesses all across the nation. You know, I've seen parents and grandparents at graduations with tears of joy running down their face because they never could have imagined that their child or grandchild would have such an opportunity to succeed. The promise of America is that you work hard, and if you work hard, you can get ahead and build a better future for yourself and for your family. I still believe in that promise. I thank you for believing in it too. And thank you for being here today for this great discussion about how we can all work together to restore that promise for every single American. So thank you. Let's have a great, productive day here at RISE.